I started doing this 10 years ago. Those cars that were brand new 10 years ago are now turning into total junk. Like it takes a shorter amount of time for modern cars to turn into junk with all the electronics, the hybrid stuff, the turbo stuff, and it's just not built as well to where all this stuff that it'd take 20 years old for a car to fall apart is now taking 5 or 10 years. So it's this endless well of especially modern European stuff that just falls apart so quick, and it's like, and depreciates so hard that like, oh my God, this was a $200,000 car 10 years ago, and now it's 10 and it barely moves. Like, this is incredible. And it just that, it's so exciting to me to figure out what's going on with it and the process and like it just getting into why these things are just falling apart and like, can we save this one? Like maybe we can bring it back. Maybe we can bring this one back and make it usable again. And it works out most of the time. Yeah.
How much is the satisfaction of fixing something out though?
It is. So I'm not a wrench. That's the other part where like I have the car wizard. I have, different things, different people to use for different things. And I just sort of document it, which is so much easier. And I have some technical know-how and a lot of experience to where like I understand what the problems are and I understand what the parts are. I understand how to do it, but I'm just not that hands-on. And I'm much better tasked at like breathing down the mechanic's neck, filming, which is annoying for a lot of mechanics, and talking about it, and then understanding from a layman's standpoint, like how this works and explaining it in a way that they understand and the process and all that stuff. If you're a wrench and doing the work, like Tavarish, it is so hard to not only do the work that's hard, but then have to document it and stop and move the cameras and talk about it and everything. And it triples the time it takes to do something or more. It just makes it so much more difficult. And then you're also thinking about the YouTube aspect of it and the story aspect of it rather than fixing the car. And that's why, Freddie is 3 years into his P1 because it's such the scope of the project so insane, but then also having to document it and meaningfully move things along at a budget. It's very difficult.
What's the easiest and the hardest car to work on?
Well, I would feel like my 2005 Cadillac Escalade is my daily driver in Arizona, and I have one in Kansas as well. It's just such a simple, easy thing, and it's the right amount of age where it has modern electronics to make it easy to diagnose. Unlike an old car where you're like trying to figure out the carburetor and the points and like different things. It's like a check engine lights come on, replace the crank sensor. The crank sensor takes, you have to take the intake off, but it takes an hour. Like it's all very straightforward, very easy. It was still engineered to a point where it's all very accessible. And I go back to like 80s Mercedes diesels. That was the first car I ever bought with my own money for $2,500. And it's just all mechanical. It's like Legos for grownups. And once again, they engineered the things to last forever and to be serviceable. So like an 85 Mercedes diesel, like everything's reachable. Everything's easy. Like there's no like gotchas where you have to take a whole nose of the car off to reach, to take a belt off like on a modern Audi or whatever. As far as like difficult ones, hard to imagine anything more difficult than a Bugatti. Just because, and it comes down to, I think, dealer support and how much they're willing to let people access the software to fix and program these cars. And that the modern cars, the new stuff where the dealers are keeping that all close to the vest, where the right to repair is a very important thing that people are talking about, where dealers keep the software and the programming and all that stuff to themselves and don't let the normal consumer be able to buy a module and program it. So, for example, like my Bentley Continental GT, it's an Audi, Volkswagen, $50 airbag module. We tried a bunch of different ones. We couldn't get it to work. We couldn't get it to program because Audi, Volkswagen keeps it. Bentley keeps the programming. $3,000 for the same part from Bentley, just with different programming to work in the Bentley Continental GT. And there was no workaround. There was nothing we could do to figure it out. And that's where I think it gets really annoying. It's the right to repair. Freddie's dealing with it right now with McLarens and stuff. Wow. And Matt Armstrong recently, where Bugatti doesn't want to give up parts on cars and things and take it outside of their service base. So that was the other part of the Bugatti where it's like, I can't really fix it. Like some parts match up, but I can't really fix it myself and with independence because they just don't want to share the intelligence of how to do it.
Is it just about money?
I think it's about money and then also the control of it, and they want the cars fixed to a certain spec and a certain degree in these high performance cars, and they don't want people like me cobbling them together and keeping them going, especially the liability of building a car that goes 250 miles an hour. So like $60,000 for tires in the Bugatti Veyron. Insane. It's nuts. They need to.
What do you think is the material cost on that?
Not much, but it's just because of the mounting. There's only 2 machines in the world that can mount them to these tires. Ed Bullion's talked about this, a lot. And it's just because it's so scarce, and they decided to make it a wheel specific to Veyron, and they just didn't make it easy. That's where the Chiron improved a lot, where they made it a lot more serviceable in that aspect, where there's not 12 different drain points to do an oil change, where you have to take the car half apart to just do an oil change. That's why it costs $15,000 on the Veyron. So they learned a little bit, but they're just not independent mechanic friendly. But then even Ford's getting harder with that. Like even mainstream manufacturers are figuring out, like, hey, why do we give up the keys to the castle when we can just force people to come to the dealer to fix the cars, which is going to suck when they get old and cheap, and kids are trying to keep them going. It's going to be terrible.
Are they making cars more or less reliable?
I would say less reliable, and it's all down to just the high-strung 4-cylinder engines that they're putting in cars to get the most efficiency and more power, and they just don't care about the longevity of it. And then also trying to get out as few warranty repairs as possible, and to make the initial warranty, as far as the cost of regular maintenance, as low as possible. All they care about is when they sell the car, is it showing on Consumer Reports as reliable? And is it showing as low maintenance? So they don't care to say it needs 15,000-mile oil changes. They don't care that things are not built well to last. They just want to make sure it lasts through the warranty, and they're really not caring about how easy it is to work on or that kind of stuff. So it's their motivation to just not do that anymore. Obviously, for a lot of other reasons. Obviously, they want people buying more cars.
And what causes a car to lose so much value? Like, you're talking about these cars that are like 200 grand that you can now get at like 30. Why do certain cars lose so much?
I think it's just things are getting so dated so quickly when it comes to software on cars and things, that the early infotainment cars, like the original BMW iDrive system, is just so clunky. And you get in it now and you're trying to go just change the stereo from FM to satellite or your iPod or whatever. I'm getting old now, so it's all mixing around, so I'm saying things like that. But it's so clunky, and it evolves so quickly. And even Tesla, they try and upgrade. It's nice that Tesla upgrades the cars. Like with my 2017 Model X, they were able to update the cameras and everything and make it to where normal FSD works in it. So it's nice. But most manufacturers don't care. The cars they age so quickly because of the software, and also because of how complicated they are, and the serviceability costs are just insane.
Now, when you run your own business, it feels like there's always paperwork just waiting for you in the background. Things like payroll, forms, and onboarding just take your attention away from what's actually being able to grow the business.
There are these moments that we've all had, and I'm getting angry even thinking about it because it happens to me all the time, where you're stuck doing the exact same admin task every single day. Well, guess what? You could say goodbye to all of those moments thanks to our sponsor, Gusto.
Gusto is an online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. All-in-one, remote-friendly, and easy to use so that you could pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere.
What really makes it stand out is just how much easier it makes everything from running payroll, setting up direct deposit, and onboarding are all handled in one spot, and it just works.
They handle payroll taxes automatically, and you get unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price. There's no surprise fees, which honestly removes a lot of stress.
And if you ever get hit with an HR question you're unsure about, Graham, well, Gusto gives you access to certified HR experts, which is huge when you want to do things the right way.
It's also quick to switch, and you don't have to pay anything until you actually run your first payroll.
I've actually been a paid user of Gusto long before they even sponsored this channel. Back in 2020, when I first set up my very first S-Corp, I needed to run payroll. Guess where I went? None other than Gusto, and I've been using them ever since, and they've saved me so much time. So try Gusto today at gusto.com/iced and get 3 months for free when you run your first payroll at gusto.com/iced. Once again, 3 months for free.
One more time, that is gusto.com/iced.